Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blockchain Podcast, Episode 7, the fabled, the legendary. I'm your host of Electric 6 with my co-host,
the Pussy Slayer. I mean...
Tyc-Loud! Yes. And of course, with the very, very, very special guest with us today, your name.
Who's that? Oh, hi. My name's Frank Pepe. I'm a wannabe comic book artist with a big forehead and even longer stories.
That's good. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's been that was actually like a scrapped thing for one of my like Twitter bios that I've been keeping in my my vault for a good time to use that. I guess I found, an opportunity here.
That was good. So, well, first, what's your Twitter thing?
At Frank Pepe Art.
Yeah. How many followers you got?
I don't know. Well, let me see. Let me. I don't really pay attention to the number. 405.
You're probably the least Twitter artist guest we've had. You still post art to Twitter, but you're not. You regularly bring up that you're not in the sphere.
You're not necessarily accurate with that statement either. I have posted on Twitter.
You have.
I guess that's more accurate.
Did I see you I don't? I don't know.
Not like you. No, you said I do, which is far from the truth.
Yeah.
I don't as much as I used to. Sadly, it's actually, man, it's kind of sad seeing how I used to be on this site, because I remember I started this account because I didn't like my art being on my older account, which I made to beg people, specifically Ed Boon, to add characters to Injustice 2. And a lot of things I said on there were just like unfunny jokes. So it's like, ooh, some, decent art next to, the worst joke any human has ever made. And I don't know, It just didn't seem very professional. And I kind of want to be in the comic book industry. I felt like, all right, time to get big boy time, use my big boy name, my real name. And this is just to kind of make an online portfolio of my art. And, oh man, I remember it was kind of cool because like the first day, like I made a post like on my new account. I joined like in 2000. Well, I'm looking at my Twitter account right here. I'm stupid. I joined October 2018. I made like a shitty little video in MS Paint, and it was like quote unquote animated, where it was just like kind of like Storytime animated, where it's like two still shots of my character with differing expressions and hand things.
So like what, an animatic?
Yeah, sort of. Like if I like said something like enthusiastically, his hand would be up and his eyes would perk up. And then if I'm just talking normally, it's just like a pose with my mouth ajar and my eyes like emotionless.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so, and it was just explaining, hey guys, I'm gonna be posting like once a week in an update video about my sketchbook. I'm gonna call it Sketchbook Updates. And apparently that was, so groundbreaking at the time. Like, people started following that, like, to this day, that probably still is one of my most liked and retweeted tweets. Everyone's like, oh my god, I love this video, you're really cool, oh my god. Someone drew me fan art. They were like, I thought you were a very endearing person in this video. I can't wait to see what you make.
And this video is gonna change all that.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago, and it's funny because after that, I made that video and I made the first sketchbook update. It didn't even get nowhere near the amount of same
I know, right? Like
likes or retweets.
That's always seen how like you'll have a work in progress or like tease something and it'll get way more attention than the actual product. That's why I don't tease. Straight to the point.
Yeah, Well, I don't think it helped because all these sketchbook updates that I used to do, they were all in video format. None of them were pictures. They never really got a good look at my art. It was just me flipping through my sketchbook as fast as I could to try to show every drawing I made that week.
Oh, the worst part of that is Twitter's video compression.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it looked awful. If you go back, my voice was even more annoying as it is right now, and it was even more unhinged. I'm pretty sure I sound awful and I'm explaining things awful right now, but it was
That's
even
cool.
worse back then because I was like, "Hey guys, weekly sketchbook update. Haha. So today I drew I think this is Sonic. Yeah, this is Sonic, and I was trying to make
Oh, there
him
was
look like
commentary too.
yeah, no, I was like, I tried to like make a dynamic pose. I didn't use a reference. I just and on to the next one. So right here we got Jenny Wakeman from the series My Life's a Teenage Robot. It's one of my favorites, and oh, I have 3 seconds left on this video. Oh, okay, well, bye. See you next.
This sounds like a parody account. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's
Yeah.
something that that would definitely come out in 2018 because of the.
A Frank
I
parody
remember.
account. Frank
So
Pepe
I
out of
did-
context.
I did this for like a straight year, and after like a little while, it started to go from because I guess I have like a catchphrase, like I'll either say like "Hey y'all" or "So today" or
Hey,
something
y'all,
like
Scott here.
yeah. If you look at all of my tweets, they all kind of go along the same lines of dialogue. Like I use very in particular phrases.
Hmm.
And I guess this started out as me trying to become like brandable, if that makes sense. Like everybody like every YouTube channel has their opener, and every YouTube channel has their outro. Same thing with like Twitter artists. Some people have like the certain things they said and certain phrases, kind of like their own little like personal memes that they use and terminology. I was trying to do something along the lines of that, and I realized it wasn't as effective as I was thinking. So it's really sad to see be like, "Hey y'all, the next sketchbook update's gonna come in, next week because I had some tests to do this week at school and not enough time to draw. So hope to see you guys next times and hope you enjoy."
Yeah.
It's kind of just devolved into sorry I haven't posted in, literally 9 months. Maybe I'll have something for you.
All Twitter artists.
I don't know. You'll see. Maybe.
I remember I've brought up, like on a previous episode, that just don't apologize for not posting, because, I mean, if no one's seeing your content, and they're not thinking about you, of course, but once you apologize for it, they're like, oh yeah, they haven't been posting, like, at all. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah.
Don't apologize
used
ever,
to-
kids.
I used to have so much gusto trying to be a Twitter artist, and then I realized no one cares what you're doing on Twitter.
Yeah.
Again, my main thing is to get into like the comic book industry. Sometimes I'll take like a chance. I'll be like, "Hey, do you want to look at my sketchbook?" And I'll be talking to like Mike Mignola, creator of Hellboy or something. He's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then I'll look at it and be like, "Ah, this is pretty good stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a Twitter account with like 300 followers. You know that?" And then they're like, all right."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm realizing, yeah, no one cares. Everyone has like a social media that they like put themselves out of. I guess it like only really does matter like how you are to this person when you're interacting with them personally, because they look at your post and there's like some weird disconnect. It's like this person stops being a real person and they start looking like a kind of like something to tune into, almost as if they're like themselves become a product.
Entertainment.
Yeah, like I start looking at all these posts on Twitter, and sometimes it's just someone talking about whatever they're doing in their life, and I go, is this entertaining to me. I don't know. I don't know if I like this type of content
think-
when they're like talking about how their stomach hurts and they need medicine or
I think
something
that's
like
kind of the
that.
curse of all social media. Only gonna tune into the entertaining stuff. That's why you don't. I mean, you can. And it depends on who you are in the audience, of course. But usually, you're there to dispense a product, I suppose, be it art or literally anything else. Consume entertainment. But yeah.
Yeah, I know this is like a podcast talking about like art, specifically like Twitter art, Twitter artists and all that.
You were saying that you don't watch any of the episodes, and we've actually had to extend the time because we just forgot to talk about art the whole episode. Honestly, the main draw I think of it is just talking about stories, with friends. Like, yeah, art and Twitter artists, it's like the thing. That's because that's the people we know, right? And the main draw is just getting people on to share their stories.
It's actually funny, right? It's because like I've tried watching the other episodes. I've watched the first episode.
You just couldn't get through it.
Some of the
I
last
don't blame
episodes. Here's the thing, right? I hate listening to podcasts. I hate them.
Yeah.
They're awful. They're like some of the lowest form of like entertainment I can think of.
It's hard to believe people put a budget into it.
Anyone watching this podcast right now, please stop it. You are part of the problem.
Unsubscribe.
You're part of the problem.
Here's the thing, though, right? The reason I hate it isn't because I don't like what they're talking about or I don't like the format. It is. Podcasts present me with a very unique thing that I've never experienced with any other type of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the fact that most of them just revolve around two people talking about topics that interest them.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, I'm also interested in these topics, and these people, they talk in a way where it's like conversational, so it like kind of tricks my brain into thinking I'm in this conversation, but I'm not being heard in it.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching something like the Pizza Party podcast, and they'll be talking about something, and I'll go like, "Ooh, I have something to say about that. I know something about that. I wanna." And then I go, "Oh wait, they're on YouTube."
This is all pre-recorded.
Except for that one time they actually respond, like, "Yes, Frank." What do you have to add to this? This is your one chance. Your one chance to actually have an input, though.
This is my one chance to actually, achieve my dream at adding something to the podcast I'm listening to. Except, unfortunately, God hates me, and I'm. This isn't called 100% Frank without a reason.
Yeah.
It's all it's gonna be is just me talking and you guys reacting.
No, that's
unless
how
you
it
have
is.
something to say.
No, that's kind of what it's about, man. If you guys haven't caught on, Frank's quite the talkative person. Because and it's the good thing. That's a good thing. Because he's awesome.
Maybe a little bit too much. Someone needs to shut me up.
Fuck, last episode I barely said shit. Mostly because I was tired.
Well, sometimes maybe one of us will hang back, but the full focus is the guests. You, in this case, Frank. So, I know you had some topics you wanted to discuss.
Yes.
Segue at your leisure.
Well, I don't know. Have any of you guys looked outside your man caves recently, seen what's happening on the real world?
Kind
No,
of.
I mean I take walks sometimes, with my sister, but
It's very boring.
it was.
Have
nice to get
recently you been on one of your walks and a police officer comes up to you and starts mercilessly beating you to death? Has that happened in recent time?
Not that I can remember.
Yeah, I can't recall specifically.
Well, if it hasn't happened to you, I'll be happy to tell you about, other people it's happened to.
Great segue.
It seems like the police have been wiling out a little bit.
Right.
just a small amount.
I know. I know we usually give like political on this podcast, but just a little bit, tasteful.
Well, I'm not.
Recent events.
Everyone's seen what's been going on.
It's impossible.
In real life recently, and just to kind of quickly reveal my position here. I'm glad, people are speaking up about a problem that's been plaguing society for a while, and that things are being done because of it. That someone spoke up about it. However, all of Twitter is all about that right now. I'm here to get kind of deep and personal about it because I have encountered the boys in blue a few times before, and although none of them are as detrimental to society as others, still fun to talk about, I guess. So I have numerous stories where I've encountered them. Which one do you guys want to hear first? Because there's one where the police were searching for me on a helicopter.
Yeah.
Asking the entire neighborhood of my whereabouts.
Multiple choice question here.
There's another one where they drove a truck on the grass just to get to me. And the other one is where they should have been there, and they weren't.
There's only tip of the iceberg when it comes to Frank Pepe, let me tell you. The grass one sounds entertaining.
Yeah, the grass one. I believe you heard the first one of the police chasing you throughout the whole neighborhood.
I guess I'll tell that one after the one on the grass then. Because the last one I just talked about there is one that I've never told you guys off the podcast or on the podcast because I've never been on the podcast.
Until now.
If you couldn't tell. Yeah, until now. This is the first time anyone's going to hear about this. Except, me, the police, and everyone involved. Which, yeah. So, yeah, I'll start there. On the grass. Well, if it hasn't been apparent until now, I'm an idiot. I'm very stupid. Sometimes I do things that seem like good ideas to me, but they're awful ideas, and none so a better example than this story. So, along with my friend, we have a big long tradition of having competitions with each other, and one of these competitions has to do with throwing sharp metal objects into trees. And seeing who can, get the most into the tree in the most stylish way possible.
I was prepared for you to say traffic.
I've been tempted before, but if this gets me in trouble with the police, that would be sure to get me in trouble with the police, probably more so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I found a pocket knife in my house, and I was like, what better way to get some practice in so I can beat my friend in these competitions for the next time we do them than to, practice by myself. So I walked down to the park that is fairly close to where I live. Pocket knife open the entire time.
Oh, I think I remember this one, yeah.
Walking down, the path. This also just so happens to be the day where all the soccer moms bring out their little 4-year-olds to play soccer.
Oh, the Karens. The Karens of
everyone,
society.
This also happened to be today where everyone, decided to have a bike ride and walk their dogs and go to the skate park that's right next to that park. Overall, there's a trillion billion people at this park, and I'm here walking with a, exposed, 6-inch blade, walking around like willy-nilly, like it's nothing. I noticed, I saw that I was getting a lot of weird looks, especially from the parents, and, I thought, well, I'm not doing anything wrong yet,
Yet.
So I wave at them, knife in hand, and, walk on over to my biggest, most favorite tree of throwing metal objects into. And I start trying to throw this knife in to the tree with varying ranges of success. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And I start noticing that the kids at the skate park notice me, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm throwing this knife into this tree over here." Like, why? And I'm like, "Because it's fun."
Mm-hmm.
About 10 minutes later, I hear, "Wee, wee," you know, and the police have driven their police truck onto the grass. And this is where I start tying the dots together, drawing the dots together. That's awful analogy here.
Connecting the dots.
Figuring it out that they're here for me, and that all those nasty looks weren't just because they're judgmental people.
Aren't just because, yeah.
And I go, "Oh shit, what do I do? The cops are here." So I'm like, "All right, Frank, play it cool. You're just gonna walk on over to the police, and give your biggest smile, greet them with the friendliest you can." I start walking over to them. Mind you, I haven't dropped a knife or anything. It's still, open blade, and I have it in my hand exposed. And I walk out with my hands extended forward, like I'm kind of like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And I'm walking towards them. They get out of their cars, and I'm like, "Hey, officers, how you doing?" And they're like, "First off, it's never a good idea to walk towards an officer with a open, weapon." And I go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Here, you want it?" And I point it towards them.
You want it?
And then they're like, "Just drop it for now." I'm like, "Okay, yeah." And they're like, "Step away from it." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." And they kind of looked at each other, kind of like oddly, like they're I don't know what expression they had, but it wasn't one of those expressions where they were happy to see you or angry that they're there, just kind of like confused and utterly beguiled by what they see in front of them.
Befuddled.
So they walk on over to me and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm throwing this knife into the tree." And they're like, and they start laughing at me and they go, "You're throwing this knife into that tree? This isn't a throwing knife. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I got it in a few times." And they're like, "How many times was that?" And I'm like, "Quite a few times. It was, a lot. Yeah. I can do it in front of you right now. I'll prove it to you." And they're like, no. Like, "We believe you." And then they're like, "So, where do you live? What's your age?" They start just questioning me, kind of like writing a file on me, because, they're like, "Yeah, we got a call from a family here. They got worried because, there's a teenager here walking around with a, weapon." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I didn't mean to harm." He's like, "Yeah, we can tell, but sometimes it's not as clear to tell. There's some guy that like just a week ago, he like beheaded someone right in front of like the courtroom." And I was like, "Oh my god,
what the fuck?"
He's like, "Yeah, how am I gonna know that you're not gonna do that?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, if I had a knife and I was walking around, would have I done it right? Already? Like, don't you?" And he's like, "Well, we don't know." And I'm like, "Okay, well." And he's like, "All right, well, we're gonna go back to the station. Stay out of trouble. Don't do this again. Maybe walk on home." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." And they're like, "All right, close that thing up, put it in your pocket." And I was thinking, "Oh man, these guys are writing a whole report on me. Like, I'm not a bad person. I'm not, like, police file worthy, I don't think." So I was like, how am I going to win these guys' trust back? And I'm like, "All right, do you guys, like, want my knife or anything, like, as like, a extra trust that I'm not going to do this again? You guys are, like, because I don't want you guys to get the, wrong impression or anything." And then they kind of look at each other, and then they look at me, and then they're like, "No, that's all right. You can keep your knife." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you sure?" And then they're like, "Wait, you know what? Never mind." And then they took my knife. And then, drove away on the grass, back onto the street. And now that I think about it, right, because I left home white as a ghost, shaking, because I got afraid of the police. This was the first time I ever like encountered them in person. They drove their car up to me and like questioned me and all that. It's a new experience for me. But after like the whole just shock from it weared off, I was like, what fucking assholes? They just took my knife when I didn't even do anything wrong, and then they insult me about my knife throwing skills. They don't even know how good I am at knife throwing. I bet you I am better than them at knife throwing.
With knives that aren't even meant to be thrown.
Yeah, listen, if that isn't some Naruto shit right there, I don't know what it is. I am personally challenging the police of San Diego to a knife throwing competition, $100 on the line. I'm willing to bet $100 that I'm better than them.
Every single officer.
Yeah. I guess that was the first time I ever got like caught by the police. I mean, like, there was that one time, which was the first option I gave you guys, which is what I'm going to talk about now, is where I was searched for them by a helicopter. It wasn't even my fault. And, it's weird. Me and my friend, I don't know if I want to reveal his name.
You want to give a placeholder name?
No.
Bunty.
Just my friend. But, me and my friend, we're trying to go to some place my dad told me about. My dad told me about some place called the Bat Cave near where I live. And the way he described it to me was this little, like, tunnel where you can crawl around in and graffiti and skateboard around in. And if you go far enough in, you can be under the train tracks and hear the train rattle the whole tunnel you're in because it went over it. And I was like, oh my god, this sounds really cool. And he goes, yeah, dude, you should check it out. It's all right where your old elementary school is. So me and my friend went down there to go find the Bat Cave, so it's called. And we had to trespass like into someone's like yard to get to it. Which was a risky thing to do at the time. But we didn't care. We were so hyped up about this thing, and we get there, and it's like this 1 foot by 1 foot hole that you have to crawl to get inside. You can't even skate inside of it.
I hate that.
I guess what my dad meant was like he would put like a skateboard on the ground and then lay on it and then push himself into the hole. Which, if he did that now, he's gonna get stuck in there. He's gonna die. He's gonna become like sewer mummy. But
sewer mummy. You get embalmed underground.
And when you say
when
we went
under a train track or something?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not okay. I would hate crawling and then like the train comes and like there's a cave in. You get like stuck under there or something.
Well, we get there and it's like covered in spider webs.
Yeah.
And all of the graffiti was just racial slurs and gang gang tags. So we were like, okay, this isn't what my dad was chalking it up to be. And we, this was after school, and I already told my mom we were going to hang out for like hours there. So we were trying to find other things to do. And we're walking around, and this is a pretty like nice neighborhood. All the houses are like 2-story, and they have like, giant backyards, and clearly like an upper class area. And I remember walking around.
Do you care to drop where you like your place of residence? Not like your complete address, but like the city. We're gonna keep that.
I already said San Diego.
Did you? I wasn't.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right.
No, it's fine. I was challenging the SDPD into a knife throwing challenge, but that sounds more like domestic terrorism now that I'm thinking about it. But that is not what I meant, to be clear. And as I was saying about my seemingly morally dubious feats, me and my friend were walking around a neighborhood, and I made note of how I don't like these rich people's houses. I said, man, I hate all these rich people's houses. It's like they're built to like show that they're better than you. They're always like overly like bloated in the like front half of the house.
Yeah.
Like, they have these giant porches, but no one ever utilizes the spaces. All they use it for is, like, surfboard storage and, like, their, old chairs that they don't want in the house because it has, like, mold and spider webs all over it.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. It seems like all these rich people, they buy these houses, but they don't make much use out of them. I was just kind of talking about that. And then it occurred to me, oh my god, these hills next to my old elementary school, they used to grow quartz on them. Like, if you look far enough on the hills, you'll find, like, crystals. Quartz crystals.
They used to grow quartz or mine it?
Not mine it. It's just surface. Like,
okay.
It'll just formulate on it.
I don't know how quartz works.
I don't know how it works either. I just know that these hills, they contain crystals, and I like picking them up.
Okay. That's cool.
So, I was showing my friend that, and we're on this hill collecting quartz for, like, a few hours. And my friend goes, hey, look over there at that house. And I look over, and there's this guy. He looks like a real Redditor, this guy. He's like, 30 years old, grease-stained shirt, staring at us, with his measly stubble.
Neckbeard.
Just staring at these children through his window.
Fedora.
And I'm like, why is he staring at us? He's like, I don't know. He's been doing this for like 20 minutes. I go, does he have anything better to do? So I'm like, well, what do we do? Do we stop, like, walk away? Are you bothered by him staring at you? And he's like, no, it's just, something. And I'm like, let's wave at him. See if he notices.
Let's wave at him.
Hey man, what are you doing? Looking at us? Just no response.
He's dead.
We kind of just laugh at him, and we're still picking up shiny rocks on the hill, and it starts getting dark, and I walk home with my friend. We get picked up by our mom halfway because it's dark and she's worried about us. Yada yada yada. Normal night throughout the day. Go to sleep, wake up next morning, go to school. I enter into my first period, or maybe it's my second period. It's been a while since I've been in high school.
Detail.
It's been a hot minute since your first period.
Well, so I'm in there, I'm sitting at my table, and some lady with a clipboard walks in. She talks to my teacher for a minute, and she sits down in the seat in front of me. And I'm thinking, okay, this girl's definitely from the school board. I'm just gonna act beyond my best behavior, make sure I don't get my teacher in trouble, whatever. And a few times during the course of this period, she's like looking up at me and like writing things on her clipboard. And I'm just like, she's just probably, taking note of the kids in class, not necessarily me, But lo and behold, after class, she goes, hello, are you Mr. Frank Pepe? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, why do you hate their house?
Why do you hate their house?
Good question.
Well, I don't know what this means. I'm like, huh? And she's like, don't try to avoid the question. Why do you hate their house? And I'm like, hate their house? Whose house? I don't hate anyone's house. Like, one of my friends? The only house I've been to is mine. Like, the last time I went to my friend's house was like a few months ago. And they're like,
did they say their house specific? Like, you didn't say who?
Yeah, they just said, why do you hate their house?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this about? And she's like, well, I'm with the local police enforcement. You're not in trouble or anything, but I would suggest that you go talk to your history teacher after class today, after school. And I go, okay. And she goes, all right, well, depending on, that conversation, I may or may not see you later. I'm like, oh my God, like, what happened? What do you mean? Hey, whose house? I don't hate anyone's house. I mean,
Should I censor the teacher's name?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's gonna be replaced with a monkey sound.
Don't name drop your friend. Name drop the teacher.
Well, he was a damn good teacher.
Yeah.
I'll say that right now. But Too bad you'll never know that teacher's name.
Yeah.
But, you know, my mind is fucking racing. I don't know what she's talking about. I'm like, I don't hate anyone's house. What's going on? And then it occurred to me, I was like, yesterday I did trespass. And yesterday I did say I hate rich people's houses. Did some rich person get so butthurt about that statement with their, like, dog, like, hearing? They have, like, the greatest hearing of all time if they heard me say that. And they were in their house or something. Like,
this is like you shit talking rich people, and this one like spider sense just.
He just gets really sad.
And I'm like, but why would they call the police about that? No, that makes sense. So I start.
We're 35 minutes in, by the way.
Oh man, time flies.
We're only on the second story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, if you want to cut details to get to the meat, that's fine.
No, sorry. These are kind of important details.
It'll be an extended episode.
Yeah.
Hell,
this might
if we
be
really
like
want to, we can do a 2-parter.
First 10-hour episode.
Or we can just have you on again some other time. But yeah, continue, please.
I would like to talk about everything I have prepared for today. If it could be an extended episode.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Anyways, sorry for the intermission where we're arguing about time. My mind's racing. It's lunchtime, and I go, okay, I gotta figure out what's happening. So I go ask people who lived around that area, because it's becoming apparent to me that there's certain threads between things. Me saying I hate rich people's houses. That's what must be what they meant by why do I hate their house? Me trespassing to look at the Batcave, and then I remembered, oh my god, like, why is Mr. My teacher, like, involved in this? It's because he drove past us and waved, and we waved at him too. Mind you, this is separate from the wave we did at the guy in the house.
Okay. But,
like, there's so many little red herrings in this. Like, when does it all tie together? So I asked my friend, another friend of mine, not the friend that I was on the hill with, a friend that lives in the area, and I was like, hey, did you hear anything, like, weird last night about, like, police sirens or anything? And he goes, oh, Frank, I was just about to talk to you. Last night, they were looking for, like, a small white boy with long hair and a slightly, stubby, jaw. I'm sorry, I'm burping. When I get stressed out and burping, the story, sheds years off my lifespan whenever I tell it.
He's making a real sacrifice this episode. You guys better like the video.
Yeah, they're looking for a small white boy with long hair and a slightly stubby and chubby Mexican child that was, an accomplice with him. And he goes, yeah, they were trying to look for you with a helicopter, saying all this stuff, and the description looked exactly like you. I was just about to tell you about that. You know anything about that? And I was just about to ask you about that. Some lady came in with the clipboard saying she's with the police. Why do I hate people's houses? What's going on? And he goes, shit, dude, I don't know, but, like, you better look out. Like, something serious must have happened. And I'm like, oh my god, like, what's happening? So it's finally down to the final period of the day where I talk to my history teacher, and I go, look, Mr. Teacher, I didn't do anything last night. Like, I don't hate anybody's houses. I said I hate rich people's houses because they seem pompous in nature, but I wasn't talking about, and he's like, save it all for after class, Frank. We'll talk about it then. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. End of class, and I start bargaining with him again. He's like, no, listen. I got an email last night from a lady and her son, 80-year-old lady and her, like, 30-year-old son. Apparently, they saw you and your friend yesterday that I also saw on my way driving there. When I waved at you, I go, uh-huh. And he's like, yeah, so they know me. And they saw you guys previously before I drove by, that you were standing on the hill, and they were wondering what you guys were up to because they didn't know what you were doing, if you were scoping the houses or something, staying on that hill for so long. And they said that they they were looking at you and you even noticed and you waved at them and I go, uh-huh. And he goes, so then they told me you left and that sometime around 11 p.m. that night you came back in a white truck and you egged their house and that you you ran up to their window and started pointing and laughing at them from right outside their window while they were cowering in fear inside their house, knowing that you're going to break in.
I know.
And
yeah.
And I'm like, huh? And he's like, yeah, it's and I'm like, well, what happened then? And he's like, then they told me that you guys ran off and drove off after, pointing at them and laughing and, causing them great fear, great distress. Now their house is big.
The thought of you terrorizing an old couple, just laughing at them in their window. But you didn't, did you?
Obviously not. Or else the story would have ended a lot sooner.
You tell the story, you just terrorize some old people and egg their house. That's it.
Yeah, I just egged these people's house and, laughed at them and caused them terror. And, the police were looking for me and I'm, causing all this build up for nothing because you already know the outcome. Like, no, I didn't do anything. But what's, apparently someone that looks exactly like me and knows how to drive did all that. Coincidentally, the day that they saw me, standing on a hill for hours and they got concerned about that. I mean, I don't, it's such a strange thing that can't really be explained. I'm just, I don't know, I'm terrified for the day I'm gonna meet these doppelgangers of mine and my friends. Because
clones.
Yeah, there's a clone of me somewhere causing terror, across the land of San Diego.
Dark Frank.
And,
Your evil
Frank from another universe.
Anti-Frank.
Well, how it ends is, my teacher was like, "Don't worry, I know it's not you. You're not smart enough to drive yet." And I'm like, "Okay." And... So he's like, obviously it's not you because of that. Plus, you'd never do something like that. I know you. And I'm like, thank you. And he goes, but yeah, it's a strange situation. Just, stay safe out there, and that was it. Less police involved in the last one, but they still did look for me on a helicopter and send a lady with a clipboard asking why I hate people's houses. That's the most puzzling thing about all this. Why would maybe she was trying to say, why did you egg these people's houses? But no, she was distinctly saying to me, I remember, clear as day, she was saying, why do you hate these people's houses? Why do you hate their house? What type of question is that? That is so vague and ominous. I don't know. That... Yeah. Very strange situation. To bore you guys with another story. Here's a story no one has ever heard before, except that anyone involved and some other friends.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Except, well, not you guys, because you guys weren't friends of mine when this happened.
All right.
But, I'm happy you are now to where I'm able to tell it to you.
To the whole world. Is this one of those police stories again, like the last one, or separate?
It's another what?
Police story, or it's a separate topic?
It's one where they should have been involved, but they didn't. Probably on behalf of me, I didn't call them, but it is weird how things like this could just happen, and there's no one there to enforce the law about it.
Yeah. Well, let's hear it.
This is the story where I get death threatened in person.
Wow.
So, I have another friend. I have a lot of friends, and all of them are going to be referred to as friend or a friend of mine. which is unfortunate because no, this isn't the same friend as the other two stories.
All right.
Which I don't know if it was clear if that was the same friend, but another friend of mine, we like hanging out at the same park I was throwing knives at, and just talking to each other, having little nice conversations. It's just, something that we like to do. We planned to do that one day, and I was like, okay, well, let's plan for this time. I'm gonna wear my rollerblades this time because after our chat, I'm gonna go rollerblade if that's all right with you. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, sure, fine. So, on that day, I get my rollerblades on, head out for the park. I'm gonna go talk to my girlfriend, and she's waiting there on the bench, and with another girl, and which is weird because I've never seen this girl before, and usually these things are pretty like one-on-one with this certain friend. So I was, confused, and I went down there and I was like, "Oh hey," and they go, "Oh hey," and I go, who are you?" And this random lady that I've just met goes, "Oh well, I saw your friend over here, and I noticed that they have really nice curly hair, and that not a lot of people have this type of haircut, and it's really cool looking. So I decided to just come over here and start talking to them, and compliment on their hair, and we just kind of been talking ever since until you got here. Nice to meet you, by the way." And I'm like, "Oh, nice to meet you too." And I look at my friend and I go, "So we were gonna talk, but I guess now that she's here, should we talk about the same things we were gonna talk about? Usually it's kind of personal." And she's like, "Well, I don't know, it depends on her." And I'm like, "What do you want to do?" And she's like, "Well, I'm just chilling out over here." Here's an interesting thing to note. She's smoking out of a weed pen.
Oh yeah.
Now, this isn't like, ooh, weed. She's smoking out of a weed pen. It's not nothing like that. It's because this becomes important later. So I go, well, I guess we should go to 7-Eleven. So, we have something to do, and it's not just awkward, and we're just watching this random lady we just met smoke weed in front of us. Because none of us smoke weed. And I'm walking around, and we're just talking about random things, and I'm kind of going, man, this is weird, and I'm just having a completely, like a conversation that would be normal between me and my friend, but it's weird because now we have, like, a complete stranger walking with us to 7-Eleven, smoking their weird weed pen, when none of us smoke weed.
Would you say?
Like, a few years older than us. At the time, I think I was, like, 17, they were, like, 20, 21. So, I was like, I better, like, make sure this person's, like, okay to talk to, like, figure out, like, where they're from, like, who they are. So I'm like, regular questions. Hey, what's your name? Where are you from? They're like, I'm from this place. And I go, okay, well, they just seem like normal. They just seem like kind of lonely, maybe talkative people. They happen upon people. I guess this is normal for some people. Then it gets weird, obviously, because nothing can just stay nice. This lady gets a phone call from some guy, and he's like, where are you? And she's like, I'm just hanging around this place. Like, it's alright, what's your problem? And he's like, I told you. Like, da-da-da-da-da, and they're, like, arguing back and forth. And she's like, okay, sure, fine. Okay, yeah. And he's like, you better, yeah. And, it's getting heated. And I'm getting, I'm just
saying he's breathing really, like,
yeah. That's what it does sound like. And I'm like, man, like, this guy's really, like, going at it on the phone, man. Jeez, like, I hope everything's okay. Like, is this or something? And she, like, ends the call, and I'm like, who is that? And she's like, oh, that's just my roommate. He's crazy. I go,
Crazy.
And
funny.
We get to 7-Eleven, get our stuff, and we start walking back to the park. And on our way there, we start hearing, like, a car speeding behind us, like, and I look behind because I'm noticing something weird. We're walking against traffic, if that makes sense. Like, we're walking where the cars are closest to us, and they're driving towards us and past us. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, we're facing the cars on the sidewalk we're walking.
Yep.
The cars are on the side of the street that would be facing us. But we hear the car behind us, which means someone is driving onto oncoming traffic for some reason. And we look behind us, and some guy in his red sports car just parked the car on the curb, maybe 20 feet away from us.
Yeah. That
he drove on the side where oncoming traffic's coming on to, from to get to us. And he walks out of his car and he's like, "Hey, over here. Hey, look over here. What are you guys doing, huh?" And it's this some total chud. He's like one of these like grown adults who wears like tan cargo shorts, and he's got like some type of red shirt where it has like a bunch of text on it. It's one of those shirts like, "I'm a truck driver and I drink beer and I say things that offend you and I'm, epic." So it's one of those.
I like how imagine it ends on "and I'm epic."
And he's,
I want a shirt that says exactly that.
Got like sunglasses on, and he's got like his weird little Guy Fieri goatee, obviously an alpha male in his prime, walking towards us. And he's like gesturing like bring it on, like with his hands waving back at him. And he's like, "Come over here. Stop walking away." And we're like, so we stop, and he waddles all over to us.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Get over here." And he walks on over to us, and he goes, "You guys smoke any of my fucking weed?"
Oh, classic California.
And, here I am, dressed like a peacock, because if you ever seen how I dress in real life, I dress very colorfully. I got my rollerblades on.
Oh, black clothes is something this man cannot fathom.
My friend has her, like, Comic-Con exclusive Pikmin shirt and her Fallout, her Fallout 4 carrying bag.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got our own little styles going on, ones that some may consider unorthodox, especially for someone that wears, trucker text t-shirts with tan cargo shorts.
Ending with "I'm epic."
And he goes, "If any of you guys smoked any of my weed, I'm gonna kill you! I'll kill you!" And I'm like, "I don't smoke weed. You can smell my breath, I don't know what you're talking about."
And he stuck his big old nose down your throat.
So he walks over to the girl again, and they're having like a weird whisper argument. We're like, and we're just looking at it.
They're just dogs.
And then he stops, and then he like looks over to Mad Dog us, and he goes, "Look at these guys. They're fucking clowns." And he starts like stomping on the floor, throwing a fit, and he's like, "Give me my pen back." And then she like gives him his pen, and he's like, "Get in the car." And he goes, "If I figure out any of you guys smoked any of my weed, I mean it. I'll kill you." And like drives off. And
I'm getting like Rage Kid Call of Duty vibes from this.
Oh, yeah, very, very much so. And it left me with a sour taste in my mouth. I was kind of passive the whole time. Like, I didn't really talk to the guy. I just kind of sat there while he, called me cringe and said he'd kill me, whatever. And I never saw the guy again, but for like a straight week, I was like, man, hope he doesn't try to come kill me because he think his friend smoked one too many weed and is going to blame it on us. And I told my mom, and she started freaking out about it. She was like, "We should, you can't walk outside for a week. You can't, how do you know he's not going to search for you and try to kill you?" And I'm like, I don't know, over weed, it's like not even illegal anymore. you know, I guess the police didn't necessarily have to be involved, but I don't know. Seems like they're always in places where, you know, they shouldn't be, and nowhere to be seen where they should be. I'd all but love it if, you know, a policeman came over saying, hey, can't help but notice you drove onto, you know, the street where oncoming traffic was to, you know, harass children and say you're gonna kill them and death threat them in front of their face, call them clowns.
Yeah.
I mean, you know. But I don't know. It's he never came to kill me, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, the story way more interesting.
Yeah, if I died.
No, the twist is you killed him live on the podcast.
Live. We'll bring him in, folks.
We can't talk about that just yet.
Frank.
On
any other
the,
topics?
you know,
What else you got for us?
Well, on the, you know, topic of police, to kind of finish up that, you know, besides those two notable encounters, well, because of what has been happening recently, I have gotten a few more encounters, so very close to each other. Like, all of the things I'm going to tell you took place within, like, the course of a few days of each other.
Okay.
To start off, there was some protests in my area, and we kind of happened upon it on accident. I was gonna go to a comic book store, and I don't have a license, and it's too far away to just rollerblade or walk over there. So, I had my friend drive me, and we started noticing the police were blocking off bits and pieces to the malls, specifically Fashion Valley Mall here in San Diego. And we were like, oh, I wonder what that's about. And we just thought nothing of it. But then when we came back home from the mall, and while we were going back home, I started noticing there was like even more police heading towards that area. I'm like, I wonder what's going on. So we checked Twitter, and we noticed that a bunch of people non-associated with the cause all these protests are about, Black Lives Matter, which could I just say this? Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Black Lives Matter.
These people were just kind of like, hey, since you know, other people are doing it, let's just start looting things. You know,
opportunists.
Never mind. Yeah, never mind. You know, what people are actually fighting for. Let's just steal all the expensive stuff from Fashion Valley Mall. You know,
reminds me of that image of like the white kid with Legos.
Yeah. They were planning to raid this mall of all of its Legos because coincidentally we have a Lego store in that store, or in that mall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like big Lego store. We got a lot of sets there, but nothing really ended up happening. For the record, like the police guarded that place so well all night, like not a single person was able to get inside the mall to loot it or whatever. But after we learned this, we tried to go back before, you know, the cops really started cracking down over there. And there's like a trolley stop on the way over there. And we driving over to the Fashion Valley Mall, we got stopped at that trolley light, and we're like, okay, the trolley's gonna come, and we're gonna have to wait for it, and then we'll drive over to the mall. But the trolley never came, and we waited there for like 3 minutes, and we were like, man, what's going on? Where's the trolley? And that's when we realized that the cops started kind of marching out, like they had like a little like truck parade, and they tried to box us in between their cars and the light, as if to...
You specifically?
Yes, us. And anybody at that stop. They tried to box us in with the light as to sort of persecute us early. Trying to kind of associate us with what was happening, or, you know, supposedly going to happen at the mall.
Yeah.
They're trying to kind of assert our, those intentions onto us when we could have just been people going in that general direction. So that was kind of sus.
Yeah. Then
to be fair,
Fast and Furious shot of there.
Oh yeah, we my friend was like, okay, I'm not gonna deal with this, and he just kind of like broke the rules and drove out of there, ignoring all the traffic things right in front of the cops because he didn't want to be boxed in by them. And we were like, wow, that was so like choice of the cops to do, to try to kind of paint us as people we aren't without even knowing our intention. Then, like 2 days pass, and I see cops at the Jamba Juice.
Oh, no, not the Jamba Juice.
I don't know. I felt like it was kind of up to me to, talk to them and see where their allegiances lie, because after what they tried to just pull off, it's kind of hard to, like, I guess, approach them the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, not even just what they've done to me or is done to, anybody ever in the country. So I just kind of try to reason with them one-on-one. And we had a weird little conversation where I was like, hey, crazy world we got, going on. And then they're like,
there's stuff on the news recently. Crazy.
Yeah, and he's and the cops are like, oh yeah, boy do we know. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's important to remind yourself what your job is. You're supposed to protect people. and they're like, yeah, well,
and they pull out their guns and shoot you.
This is actually the story of how you lost an eye.
Well, they're like, well, it's a two-way road. We all gotta watch out for each other. And I'm like, yeah, I suppose so. All right, officers. See you around. And, man, it wasn't even like the next day. The next day, I'm rollerblading around from, CVS. I just got myself a drink.
Yeah.
And on my street, I see 2 truck vans full of white kids in the back. And they're all screaming. They're all going, ah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then I hear them go, what? And I'm like, well, that didn't really explain anything, but the cop was staying silent. And
I'm sorry, what did he say?
Yeah.
I look when you saying, well, I was like, well, that didn't explain anything. Thanks a lot for the help.
Well, they were just screaming at me incomprehensibly, and it was like a lot of kids.
You said there were these kids in the back of a van or something?
Of 2 cop vans, like 2 cop SUVs.
Like
there was 2
in the prisoner part?
Yeah, in the prisoner part, in the back, and there was like 6 kids at least in the back. I don't know, probably less, because cars can't fit a lot of people, but there was kids in the back, hella kids, hella white, hella screaming, and I couldn't understand anything from it, but I'm going, in what scenario could a police in this day and age, especially given recent events, would the cops have to arrest 2 entire vans full of white children? And I go, probably the protests. Something. Probably. That's my guess. So, I rollerblade like almost every day. The next day, I'm also rollerblading. I'm trying to teach my friend how to rollerblade. And I'm in the parking lot of my old middle school. And the cops roll up in, their standard classic SUV. The one that they drove up in the grass to get to me to, the one that they arrested, the van full of white children.
Oh, that SUV. I remember that.
Yeah, that one.
And good old days.
they drive up to me, and I'm like, "Hey, is there a problem here, officer?" And he starts to speak, and I, kind of cut him off. I don't know. I talk a lot. I'm sorry, guys.
If the past hour of content hasn't cued you in.
Yeah, I'm like, I wasn't doing anything illegal recently. It's just like I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to teach my friend how to rollerblade here, and he's like, yeah, we can tell. So we got a call in about some skaters, but the lady on the phone said skateboarders. And I go, "Oh, really?" And he goes, "Yeah, just, they don't like the ruckus, and it's a big group of kids. They don't know what they're up to." And I'm like, "Okay, I understand." They were here like 20 minutes ago. There was like a group of skaters here. We don't know where they went. And he goes, "Oh, well, okay, I guess we'll look around." I go, "Oh, hey, well, can I ask you a question? Yesterday, I couldn't help but notice that the cops were hauling off 2 vans full of white children, and they were all screaming at me from the back. And I like to know what's going on in my area, just because I live here, And he's like, "Uh-huh," and I'm like, "Yeah, so like, why were the police on my street with 2 vans full of white children?" And he's like, I'm like, "Was there any protests or?" And he's like, "Oh, you know what it must have been? It must have been 2 cop vans full of police in the back. And the police were bringing more policemen to the protests that were happening downtown, driving through your back street." And I go, "Going towards downtown, heading towards and he's like, which is like a place near where I live, which is completely adjacent from downtown, by the way. Like, but yeah, so they're heading to a place completely opposite from downtown. You don't need to censor that one. And telling me that they're bringing cops from the station to downtown through the back street, heading towards a place that isn't downtown, which, by the way, the cop headquarters is like directly next to that trolley light, which is in Mission Valley. So, and where I live is like up from that. So to kind of, give you a sense of where they're going, they, from the police station, went out of their way to go downtown by going up once and then further up and then all the way back down, so they have more road to drive to get to downtown. What? So clearly they're lying to me for no reason. Which
all those screaming white children were just cops, they were our boys in blue.
Yeah,
You're here to call out the Chicago police station, not Chicago. I'm stupid.
That's where I live now.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm confusing. Where do I live again?
Is real.
Oh, that makes sense.
I wish.
But I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. Like the whole tone of police right now, very strange, especially here in San Diego. I know you guys haven't heard about it, but like, I don't know, the protest in downtown got like weird. They're like, they were peacefully protesting for 2 minutes, and then they had like snipers on the roof, like gas the shit out of the people for just kind of standing in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
I don't know, seems weird. And then the police department, like this happened like a couple days ago. They labeled like a group of skaters. There was like a protest going on, and the protest was to get out your skateboard and let's all ride down the street together. The police, San Diego police decided to make a Twitter post labeling these skateboarders as like dangerous, like gang terror organization.
Excuse me, what the fuck?
Yeah,
skater boys.
They made this whole big announcement saying if anybody has any information relating to this dangerous association of skaters, please
What the fuck? They're just skating.
Yeah.
Which
you better make glad they weren't rollerblading.
I wish I would have been there rollerblading. I saw a video of it, and one person was roller skating. You know, if everyone was rollerblading, we were just this bit closer to being Jet Set Radio in real life. And I'm kind of very sorely disappointed that no one is kind of acknowledging that. I
hate when that happens.
If there's if there's another like skate protest in San Diego, please let me know. Yeah. Knowing the people that watch this podcast, no one's from San Diego, so
this could be the viral one though. We could get 1 million San Diego viewers. You are the representative of all of San Diego.
They should make me mayor. I wouldn't give like $300 million to the police.
You would authorize this. You would spend that money on a big old statue.
I would give $300 million to the blockchain podcast.
Thank you. I was thinking you would construct a statue of Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Well, then all people are just gonna like tear it down.
True.
Oh right, statues are gonna fucking burn.
I mean, I don't know. Is Jenny a symbol of white supremacy?
I don't know. If the media says so, then maybe.
Yeah. Is it a statue? I wonder. Has anyone tried to take down the Statue of Liberty yet? Like.
No, but I pray for anybody that does. That would be an achievement to top all human achievements if they can do that with their bare hands.
No tools. Just pick it up and throw it over.
All these pure strength.
They're using like ropes and like chains.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, if one day there's just some guy who's strong enough to do it with like one hand, he can like palm it like a basketball and just tear it off its base.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with too much of anything, so I don't exactly know why all statues are coming in. I know it's like some racist guys, like or the Columbus man, like that makes sense. But
yeah, just statues with questionable implications behind it.
Bugs Bunny.
A lot of them were made in the '60s. President Richard Nixon was like, "Man, I want to, fund racism."
Okay, yeah.
And then, statues.
Fund racism.
Yeah. They're gonna raid Six Flags and take down all Looney Tunes characters.
I probably got so much information wrong just now.
Well, that makes more sense of just like the racist.
If I say anything stupid, please, berate me in my DMs on my Twitter account. You're free to do so. Leave me some hateful comments. I commend your work.
Now these hateful comments better be very sincere.
Yes, be honest about it.
Be extremely angry.
Go and joke DM him. No. Be mad. Be angry. Get us canceled, please.
Cancel the blockchain.
Well, in other news.
Cut the chain. Yeah, Frank.
Can I talk about just some weird things I've come into contact recently?
Yes.
Me and my friend were kind of for reasons I won't explain, we were kind of looking very deeply at Shigeru Miyamoto and kind of just doing a lot of dig deep. Something my friend has called to my attention is up until recently, Wikipedia had this picture of Shigeru Miyamoto from like 2015, and it was taken at like a Comic-Con or something, and they all look like super like it's a very unflattering picture. They all look like greasy, unkempt, like
yeah, I know some
their
of those pictures.
expressions are off. They're like grimacing and like squint. They're like, yeah, they're just like, I don't know. They look very unpleased.
Yeah.
Like they're disgusted by the audience, and they're all in shambles. I don't know. It's a very weird choice for a profile picture, but I'd prefer if they kept it, because the profile picture they have now on his Wikipedia page is like this ultra like 8K,
I'm looking at it
like
now, I think.
Yeah, and you can see every pore on his body, and he has no expression. It's like they, taxidermied him.
They taxidermied Shigeru Miyamoto.
I can't believe they would do that. We're canceling Wikipedia. Fuck him. Bring back the old crusty image.
The first human to be fully taxidermied.
And as strange as that was, it led me.
I just want to mention. With that statement, I can imagine a museum of like influential people in media they're just taxidermied.
Yeah.
Like Phil Spencer.
I'd like to be taxidermied. Unfortunately, there's laws.
No.
You can't taxidermy a human. No.
Oh, well, they don't have to know.
These stupid motherfucking laws. We should take down society.
Oh, just on like a side note, I heard like Canada, they re-established something they outlawed, and I thought it was kind of badass. Like, you're allowed to duel people to the death again.
Oh, hell yeah!
Where?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go duel tuna right now.
It's all in Canada. Like, I can formally request a duel with you, and if you die by my hand, it's totally just.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Yeah, that's badass. That would probably solve a lot of problems we have.
Like all the crimes ever.
Yeah, instead of calling the police to kill a person, you can just do it yourself, as long as you.
Killing someone, it's so much easier than like court and stuff.
It's less expensive too. No lawyers.
Wouldn't that be such a world? There's no law system. It's just you commit a crime, you're dead.
Yeah, Tyc. Like, what's wrong with you? You get free healthcare and duels. You're privileged.
Both parties have to accept, though, right? What's the thing, though? What if you just murder someone, and you guys are the only witnesses? So you just say that they accepted a duel.
Well, I think you have to go to like a dueling court. Like, you have to schedule a thing. I mean,
it would be funny if it was just on the street.
Well, it is just on the street. I just think you have to, it's not like you go to a dueling arena.
They should televise
this isn't
it.
like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Make it a sport. Yes, please.
Hell yeah! Bring in some duel at the Olympics.
Oh, but anyways, looking at Shigeru Miyamoto, not only am I disappointed by his picture choice on Wikipedia, it led me to a website that, to aptly describe it in like the least amount of words possible, it's fake news stories about Shigeru Miyamoto.
What, like The Onion?
Almost, but it's not trying to be funny. It's like trying to be legit. And it's weird because all of these articles are from like tomorrow. Like, alright, I'm looking at one right now. Shigeru Miyamoto, Times Person of the Year 2020, June 25th, 2020. Not only is that an article made tomorrow. What did he do this year that makes him Times Person of the Year? Existing?
Yes. He made Nintendo.
Well, not saying he doesn't deserve it, but like, there's nothing notable to go on with that.
And then here, talking Smash Bros.
Here's a article from today, which was something I saw 2 days ago when I discovered this website. Shigeru Miyamoto to announce retirement at age 67. I don't think so. That's totally wrong.
Yeah.
The weirdest of which, because there was another, the two weirdest ones I found. Actually, 3 weirdest ones. I'm sorry. 4. The more I'm looking at this, it's getting weirder by the moment.
The list is getting bigger.
Because originally I was going to talk about I found an article from this website. It's called MediaMass.net. Is Shigeru Miyamoto secretly gay and hiding in the closet? This man has a wife and kids. I think it's pretty safe to assume.
You know, that's the exact title I was thinking of as soon as you said, is Shigeru Miyamoto?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, but here was the weirdest one that I found. Shigeru Miyamoto's dog recovering from surgery. And it goes on to say that he made a Twitter post talking about how people should pray for his dog who is in surgery, which this tweet doesn't exist, by the way, obviously. The article lists his dog's name as Spinny. I don't think that's his dog's name. I'm going to look up his dog's name now.
It was one like equals one prayer for Shigeru Miyamoto's dog.
Yeah, his real dog is named Piku. Or Piku. And it's saying that he's having Spinny's having spine surgery. Like it's very strange. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even weirder, Shigeru Miyamoto secretly married. Again, an article that comes from tomorrow. He's been married for literally 30 years. I don't. Shigeru Miyamoto to be a dad. This happened 2 days ago. Why is everything going on in Shigeru Miyamoto's life now? The last 4 days. In the last 4 days, his dog's having spine surgery. He's gay. He's being married. Be a dad now.
He's getting married to Mario.
All of this cannot. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, we weren't saying shit.
All of this cannot be topped by the most, enthralling of all of these. And it is the article, again, posted tomorrow. Which I saw this yesterday, too. I looked back at this website. It seems like they update the upload, date of their articles daily, so it seems like it's newer than it really is.
Oh, so this one could have been made even longer ago.
Yeah. Which it's very strange. Why would they do that first off? But I don't know. But this is none of these articles beat the article of Shigeru Miyamoto goes Gangnam Style.
Oh my fucking god, that is the stupidest article name.
If we didn't already have 100% Frank, that would still be the title of this video. Make a description.
If I can read it.
It goes Gangnam Style.
Frank Pepe goes Gangnam Style.
It is an article wrote by Bethany Jackson. If I can read it. Asked which celebrity he would like to see go Gangnam Style, the singer Psy told the journalist Shigeru Miyamoto. Since then, the 67-year-old producer is said to have been secretly practicing Gangnam Style dance for weeks.
Gangnam Style.
Who told them about the secret Gangnam Style?
Secretly.
An insider recently admitted that the producer has been secretly practicing Gangnam Style for the past couple of weeks. Here's a quote from that insider. Shigeru Miyamoto spent hours working on his dance moves out on the balcony every night, writing an imaginary quote.
Oh my god.
I have never seen him so dedicated about something before, end
just
quote.
Imagining, in my head, Shigeru Miyamoto just practicing Gangnam Style at night on his front porch.
That's fucking hilarious. I just can't think of anything more fucking hilarious and stupid at the same time.
I so wish we could make that the title and thumbnail.
Oh, this is going to be in 2 parts.
Shigeru Miyamoto goes Gangnam Style. Unless this was like the beginning of the second part, we can't do. Oh my! Thank you, Frank.
No problem. It's miraculous how I'm able to just kind of happen upon these things. I don't have an explanation for how it happens. I'm just glad it does and don't question, how.
Oh my god.
I
was not prepared for that.
Maybe that's why he's Person of the Year on time.
That's why he's Person of the Year.
Yeah, because he's practicing the Gangnam Style.
He's practicing.
You hear about how Gangnam Style 2 is in the works?
Yeah, no, I can imagine it's like the next Nintendo Direct. It's
Shigeru Miyamoto, he comes up on stage.
That's what he was gonna do for the C3, but unfortunately, he was gonna Gangnam Style on stage. Now he has a whole other year of practice.
Fuck. And then
practice on his balcony, no less. The most,
Then Reggie comes on stage doing the Harlem Shake.
His dog's dying. His dog's recovering from, surgery. He's getting, married. He's gonna have a kid, and on top of all of that, he has to practice the Gangnam Style. Can everyone give a round of applause for Shigeru Miyamoto over here? Salute him.
He's also gay.
He's also gay.
He's also gay.
I mean, how timely in Pride Month too.
Hell yeah.
A gay guy getting married to a woman and having children. I mean, that's pretty impressive. He's breaking a lot of boundaries right now. A gay person that can do the Gangnam Style? Are you kidding me?
Never heard of that.
It's too much. Holy shit.
Thank you, Shigeru Miyamoto.
Thank you for practicing Gangnam Style and being gay.
Can I talk about another weird thing that I happened upon recently?
Yes.
While seeing like a lot of these protest videos, none of these protesters go as hard as France, where firefighters are literally lighting themselves on fire and beating cops to death almost.
Oh my god.
Well, it's really cool. It's like, I don't know. There's something about France that makes people insane.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the fact that they don't shower.
Have you guys ever heard of kirigumis? Or I don't know how to pronounce it, but have you guys ever heard that term before?
What term?
No.
Kirigumi or kirigumai.
I'm gonna be honest. I never paid attention in French. All I know is je m'appelle, eat my ass.
Oh well, no. This has nothing to do with like French history or anything. It's just something that you're allowed to get away with in France, apparently. But anywhere else, it would be like immediately like
looked down
questioned upon, or the cops call on you or something. Mm-hmm. It's essentially people that wear full on like latex fetish gear.
Okay.
And like hyper realistic anime masks.
Hyper realistic anime.
What does that mean?
For a lot of these things, I'm gonna send you guys like pictures of, so you can put it for the viewers to see.
Alright, that's fair.
Just so they know what I'm talking about. But like, apparently, there's these people that like make these like wearable 3D anime masks to where it like looks like anime in real life. Like hyper realistic anime masks, and they sew hair into the head, and all. It's like really in depth, and these people are really hardcore.
You got any,
and they're all
image refs for us?
Not right now.
All right.
But it'll be showing on screen once I'm talking about it, which is now.
Remember to send me these images.
What I've noticed while researching them is they're all from like France, and they go out in public. Like they'll go to like their supermarket and like buy milk wearing their full on like fetish gear with their, hyper realistic anime mask, and no one even questions it. this goes for like any other weird fetish gear thing. I guess like France has this culture where like they celebrate that. They think like it's an important thing for people to like express themselves in that way should they feel the need to.
Sure.
And they have
I'm down for artistic expression, but you know.
I mean, I wish people here, dress like it. If they're gonna act like it, if they're gonna act like crackheads, at least dress like it. Like, I wish I were to go to my local 7-Eleven and to see someone wearing hyper realistic anime masks and,
be like, hey.
All we have here in San Diego is people wearing KKK hoods.
Fucking of course.
Yeah, that happened like a month ago. Some guy wore like a KKK hood to like a Vons and like, yeah, and it just brought every single like racist apologist out of the woodwork, saying like, well, he can wear what he wants. It's a free country. And then it also brought a lot of reasonable people to say that's stupid. Never do that. Yeah. That should be like anyone illegal that does that should be condemned immediately. And oh boy, did he get condemned. I'm kind of proud of my peoples on that. However, I am disappointed they're not wearing latex anime fetish gear. That is a down. But yeah, like I don't know, just people in France, they kind of have this just like culture where they're crazy. So yeah, this includes firefighters.
Shameless.
I think you'd fit in France then. Visit France. It's like I found my people.
I bet I'd like France.
Hell
seems like a cool place.
Walk around in latex with your hyper realistic anime eyes.
Yeah. It wouldn't be like anime though. It would be like a hyper realistic version of the way I draw myself. So it's like extra meta.
Yeah.
And realistic Black Death.
I wouldn't wear fetish gear. I just free ball it. I wear nothing. What better statement to make is than no statement at all. I am a nudist. Employers, if you're listening to this, I am kidding.
You're gonna reference the blockchain podcast to one of your employment.
If they're gonna listen to part 2.
Mom, if you're listening to this, it's not true. I would never go to France. I hate France. But no, firefighters in France are badass, and I noticed something about them. They wear like the most badass helmet I've ever seen. I'm using badass a lot, but because it's true. And no matter how many times I'm saying it, it's not going to express how cool it actually looks. It looks like something one of their kind would make. And by one of their kind, I mean the late and great Mobius, and all of his artwork is super great. It's really cool looking. If you guys have never seen a French firefighter helmet, it doesn't look like our doofy ass American helmet. It looks way better. And it's silver, and it has like a cool face mask. You look like a Kamen Rider character. You look like a Power Ranger. It's like epic. So after learning that they have these cool helmets, I took it upon myself to see if I can try to buy myself one. The answer is yes. It's going to cost you $100 or so, but small price to pay for looking cool.
Hell yeah.
I've yet to buy one. However, while looking at these masks, I learned about the type masks, helmets. I learned about this whole little underground community of firefighters and how they kind of compare gear with each other, because there's a lot of differences between Europeans and American firefighters. And something I noticed that was very strange is there's beef between them. Specifically about these helmets.
Drama?
What?
There is drama about firefighter helmets.
Oh my god.
Here's kind of the gist of it. The European helmets are undoubtedly better, but the American helmets are iconic to Americans.
And the American helmets are alright,
I mean, they're alright, but they're not,
or whatever, but...
Stormtrooper helmet. They're not cool.
What the fuck is this edit? I just search up French firefighter helmet. This is one of the images that comes up.
Pop it up on screen. There it is. Great. Do love society, don't we?
It's really weird because even though it's been proven that the European one's better, it somehow doesn't pass like U.S. firefighter helmet regulations. And the Americans, they like to argue like, oh, ours is better because we have our own way of doing it, and obviously because it's American, it's better than European. That's just how we think over here, and they go to US of A. And they try to claim some other things, but it just all boils down to they have too much pride in their helmet to choose the better, cooler looking ones. So their solution to it, after decades of fighting back and forth, which is better, this helmet or that helmet, and denying the truth, is they tried to combine the two helmets. And it looks absolutely stupid.
Really?
It looks like ridiculous. It looks like a bike helmet with a glass bubble over it. It's there's a reason why it isn't a TF2 cosmetic. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Do you
I know.
Image.
Yeah. I'll drop it later so the viewers can see it, but I don't know. I kind of like leaving you guys in the dark, trying to let you visualize it yourself, because I don't know. I like seeing you suffer.
Wow. That's why we invited you. Just to suffer.
You guys have anything to talk about?
I mean, you've been kind of dominating this whole thing.
It is 100% Frank.
Yeah, it is 100% Frank, isn't it? How long have we been going for, roughly? 145.
Jeez, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. Would you still be down for like a two-parter, or you think that's?
I'd still be down to still talk. I still have plenty of things to talk about.
Well, if we did a two-parter, I don't know if you could record another day because I have other things to do tonight.
It's no problem. I mean, if each episode's gonna be hour. Sorry, I had to stop for a second there to formulate it in my brain. Might as well just talk the next 15 seconds so we can, finish it up.
I suppose so. How many other things you think you want to mention?
One more thing I want to mention, and I haven't mentioned it to anybody. I was saving it for the podcast.
All right.
I got a letter in this mail. Now, it's meant for my grandfather. However, I kept it because it has some of the most insane things I've ever seen written on a letter to someone.
Did you ever tell him that you had it, or?
I have never told you guys I had this.
No,
I keep
told your grandfather.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but none of them wants to pay attention to it because it's just all nonsense.
Okay.
Like, let me just read like the front of this really quick. First off, this is a letter sent from a place from 666 Broadway, New York.
Okay.
Second off, it says inside, colon, how the CIA subverts the U.S. government Christian singles dating questionnaire. America.
Excuse me? Is Christian Mingle really a front for CIA investigations?
What
Maybe. The and then it goes on to say, America's emerging chaste system. I don't know this word. CASTE. America's emerging caste system. How Wall Street stands to profit from AIDS. Stalking the campus thought police,
Hmm.
the myth of missing children, the myth of missing children,
The missing children. So they really get abducted by Bigfoot.
how the Pentagon hides $22 billion. That isn't even a lot of money, Pentagon like wise. The feminist case for pornography. Robert Stone takes a crack at cocaine,
Okay.
and
Okay.
Takes a
free
crack
copy.
at cocaine.
of today's I guess they're trying to sell us a magazine.
Well, like,
And-
what is this like? This isn't the handwritten letter like my brain was conjuring.
This is the front of the envelope.
Okay.
Oh, what's inside of it?
On the inside, it's a free certificate to their magazine, which I can receive the next 11 issues for $12.97, saving 80% or 86% of the single copy price
You should.
for a total of 12 issues.
Sounds like your kind of magazine.
I'm kind of afraid. This seems like the type of people I shouldn't give my information to, despite them knowing where I live. I'm reading the letter here, and it's talking about how like things have been getting more excited over the 170 years. They've been getting more exciting over the past 5 minutes, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
It's describing why I should buy this magazine. It's not telling me about, missing children or, how the CIA is, made Christian singles or anything like that.
They've made Christians single.
It's just kind of saying, we're a magazine that talks about how all the news is propaganda and you should only listen to us, which amazingly sounds like propaganda to me.
They're not news. Don't you understand?
It's where is
I feel like we've gone long enough that we could make 3 parts.
It's-
Let's
it's-
up on 2 hours.
Like if we're gonna do another session tomorrow,
Maybe.
hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
okay. This is just a bunch of nonsense. They're just not even saying anything. They're just kind of saying the government, and you know what the government does. The government, has a bunch of money, and AIDS is a thing that exists, and put 2 and 2 together. Why won't
Does
you?
this happen to be the same organization that talks about Shigeru Miyamoto?
Oh, this is it.
Gangnam stuff.
No, this is not the Shigeru Miyamoto slanderer. This is a completely separate media outlet.
I have a question for the other one though. Like, are all the articles about Shigeru Miyamoto?
Not all of them, but there's a hefty amount of ones they've claimed that have been made either yesterday, today, or tomorrow.
Secret Gangnam stuff. Sorry, that one's still freaking hilarious. Ugh. Well, we've been going for quite some time. Frank, have any
Here's,
closing thoughts?
Here's an interesting thing I'm reading from this letter in this envelope. Let them eat fat.
What
That-
the fuck
that's
does that
all-
mean?
I don't know. I'm not gonna read it anymore because it's just kind of
Thank you everybody for tuning into the
No.
Blockchain Podcast.